Am I the a-hole? I had a fight with my ex over her affair child. Our son picked it up and is now rejecting his half-brother. I, 38 male, had a fight with my ex-wife, 41 female, about her child Sam, 7 male, and need an outside opinion. We have a son together, Jake, 9 male, but Sam is not mine. Our divorce was caused by my wife's infidelity, and I told my ex up front when she was pregnant that I will never take any responsibility for Sam, not emotionally nor financially. However, I figured my emotion out and got them in order to protect my son Jake, and that includes accepting Sam as his little half-brother and allowing him on special events to visit me and Jake. Our custody agreement is clear. Every second weekend, Jake visits his mom. So, my son had his birthday last month, where I allowed Sam and X to visit and celebrate with us. It wasn't something big because of the global situation, just about 15 people, Jake's friends and some family members. Sam loves to mimic Jake, and when he saw him calling me dad, he started to call me dad too. I spoke with him calmly and told him that I don't want to be called dad by him, but he's allowed to call me by my name. When he had asked why, I explained that he is not my child and I am not his dad. Then he asked me who his father is, and I respond that I don't know. He then ran to my ex and asked who his father is, but my ex just sent him back to me to ask. So I just told him that his mom doesn't know it either, but I'm not his dad, and again he should call me by my name. Nothing more happened on that day, because even I noticed my ex trying a crappy move on me, but I just ignored it. The problem is Sam has told this to his school friends, as the class have played a game where they talked about their family. I had to say, here, some children are pure evil, because now some of Sam's classmates have started bullying him, and calling him a bastard, and worse. My ex called me about it, but I just told her that she has to fight over this with Sam's teacher and the other kids' parents, because it is not my problem. She then started yelling at me on the phone, and it is my fault, and called me some names. I responded that I have noticed what she tried to pull at Jake's birthday party, and that his problem wouldn't exist if she could just keep her legs closed for other men, and then told her she should try to find Sam's actual father if she wanted a man to take care of her son. X involved our parents in this fight, and now my mom is nagging me over this and sides with X. However, I was not gentle with her either when she called me. Note that my mom wanted a daughter since forever, and saw my wife as her first daughter. That's why I'm in low contact with her, because she tried to force me to forgive my ex. Now, here is why I might be an a-hole. My son have picked up this whole mess. It is now mean to his little brother and stopped playing with him and teases him as well. I actually have made an appointment with a therapist to solve this, but I don't think I can solve it on my own. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. I can't be the father of Sam as it's medically impossible. Also, a court-ordered paternity test confirmed that I am not the father. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. 1. You're not Sam's father and having him call you by first name is totally fine. 2. You're civil and have tried to keep Sam in Jake's life. 3. You're civil with X despite the history and her recent attempts at trouble. 4. Jake picking up on it seems an accident. However, you need to be more careful to prevent your son from hearing future arguments with your ex. OP, do not manipulate custody time with your ex to reward/punish your ex, certainly without talking to your lawyer first. Not an a-hole. X needs to take responsibility for her actions. She shouldn't have told Sam to go back to you for an answer. Speak with your son and get him into therapy, and they'll help to explain the reasons why he's being mean. Your mom and X are the a-holes here. Probably want to turn OP into a father figure. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole for not allowing Sam to call you dad. But you need to realize that Sam is innocent. It's not his fault that his mother cheated on you. You should talk to Jake. Don't allow him to be horrible to his younger brother. Right. That was my only problem with the story. It seems that there are things he should be saying to his ex. He is choosing to say these things to a child instead. He's not an a-hole, but Sam isn't an a-hole either. He is a kid being put between two adults. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking my son on a trip I knew his step-siblings wanted to go on? My ex and I have a son, Kai, 11. Ex and I broke up when he was 2 and my ex married his wife when Kai was 6. There was a lot of mess in Ex's house regarding his ex step-kids, Mia and Logan, both 12. From what I gather, their dad has been bad-mouthing my ex and Kai from the beginning and poisoned the kids against them. So I've always been hesitant to not do stuff that could be seen as me rubbing things in their faces. Because of the costly back and forth in courts between his wife and her ex, my ex could not afford to do big things with the kids. Kai had mentioned this trip that his step-siblings wanted to go on before. He told me he'd love to go, but really hoped they wouldn't go together because he didn't want to go with them, because they wouldn't want him there and he didn't like being around them. During the final week of school, some of me and Logan's friends were very cruel to Kai, and me and Logan were standing around laughing with him. At one point, it turned very dark, and the principal called the parents of all involved students. What transpired was Logan and me had told their friends something about Kai. That and just general kid bull was used to make him feel like crap. I was pissed. After the incident, I decided I needed to stop catering to the stuff my ex couldn't do with the kids, and just do whatever regardless of whether Mia and Logan dreamed of doing it. So I took my son on a trip to the place he told me he wanted to go to, but not with his step-siblings. He had a great time, and I told him as long as he didn't brag or rub it in, we'd done nothing wrong, because he worried a bit that Logan and Mia would be mad. X found out about it because Kyle left a small trinket in his bag from the trip, and X found it. X then called me and asked me why I took Kai there, and I said because Kai wanted to go. X said his stepkids wanted to go too, and why would I take Kai someplace they'd likely wanted to go? I said I don't care. I could take my son where I wanted. He told me it made me an a-hole because his stepkids have feelings too. He doesn't know I knew they wanted to go, but am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole with caution. As a former middle school principal and parent, I can tell you that the stepchildren are at an age where bullying especially rears its ugly head. Parents tell the victim to ignore it, walk away, etc. But Kai can't do that if he lives there and goes to school with them. Personally, I document everything, especially the school incident. I communicate with Kai a lot on how he's doing. I've successfully used a 1 to 10 scale. After explaining, a 1 is I need help now and 10 is everything is amazing. I'd ask, what are you today? And I'd get a baseline. What I'd look for is a trend. Hopefully with strategies, support in any form, and time, the days are more 7 to 10s than 2 to 5s. I used this over my career with students and my own children during hard times. If yesterday was 4 and today's a 5, I'd concentrate on how it was better than yesterday and concentrate on tomorrow. This also worked very well for me when assessing my daughter's deep depression in 8th grade. It was bad, and I needed some kind of baseline for when I needed to go extreme parenting. It happened, and I put her in counseling. She's great now, early 20s. So for UOP, I'd keep some kind of data/notes to see if there comes a time that you need to revisit the boundaries of custody. Maybe they should only be at their dad's when the other kids are out of the house. I'd say tough parenting ahead. You may really have to step up and be the bad guy by forcing change to protect Kai. The trip itself I see as a positive for Kai to make sure he knows he's special and not doing anything wrong. But the caution, those kids will hate him more now and will look for ways to make him hurt, mental and maybe more. They will weaponize their peers and family against Kai. Bullies are some of the smartest and manipulative children I've ever worked with. They know who is where and they capitalize on weakness. Here's where your ex fits in. Enough said. Good luck, and I'm glad Kai had something positive to do. My guess is those days with you are really high in the scale. Totally not the a-hole. And piggybacking off this post, a friend currently has a client who is going through the same thing. Ex remarried a horror show with a horror show daughter who tortures client's kid. They took ex back to court and they just rendered a decision that new wife and her kid have to leave the house for the duration of visitation. That is something you might want to look into. Your ex probably can't afford a legal fight on both ends, so he's likely to cave. Not the a-hole. It is not even close. What a nightmare for your kids who have old step-siblings that are bullies. You don't owe them any special treatment, and especially not awesome trips. Even if the step-siblings weren't that, there's no good reason to deprive your son of trips just because their own family can't take those same trips. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for using some of my stepson's camp savings to buy replacement sneakers for my son? My son Chris' 16th birthday was weeks ago. His mom, my ex-wife, couldn't be with him due to work but sent him a pair of Adidas sneakers as his birthday gift, as Chris is a runner and he enjoys running every day as a way to relieve stress and anxiety. My stepson Jake, 17, saw the sneakers and said they looked like the ones his favorite artist Kane Brown was wearing in Famous Friend's music video, and so he got so hung up on them, always asking Chris to see them and try them on. Chris let him see them but not wear them because Jake has bigger feet and he was worried he might ruin them. Jake wanted to wear the sneakers in front of his friends, but Chris didn't let him leave the house with them. Jake ended up sneaking out with them a couple of times, which made Chris hide them from him since he kept taking them without permission. Jake was no longer able to sneak out wearing the sneakers and begged Chris to let him wear them one last time at a party his friends had. Chris said no, but Jake somehow was able to locate the sneakers. But instead of going out with them, he cut them with a hand pruner and kept them in his room while Chris and I looked for them, till his mom found them. Chris saw the damage and was upset. I grounded Jake and promised Chris to get a replacement. But when his mom called to tell me those sneakers are worth $600 and had to be replaced, I was in utter shock. I saw the receipt, and even then, I couldn't believe it, because $600 is way more than I can afford. Chris's mom is a cardiologist, so she can afford this stuff, but I obviously can't. I was fuming. I let Jake know how much he messed up, and told him I will be replacing the sneakers using the money saved for his week-long summer camp. Jake had a meltdown and said he was already punished and that it wasn't fair to punish him further. My wife thought I exaggerated and talked about how important summer camp is for Jake as he's been waiting for it for months. I let her know that Chris's mom is rightfully upset her gift for him got ruined, and because Jake acted out of spite and maliciousness, then it's only fair that he pay for replacement. My wife assured me if Jake knew those sneakers were that expensive, he would have never ever touched them but thought Chris wasn't letting him borrow them on purpose. What's done is done, and I made my decision final. But now both my wife and Jake are giving me the silent treatment and refusing to talk about it. My wife thinks it's crazy to spend $600 on new sneakers. I agree, but those aren't mine, so needed replacement. So am I the a-hole? Edited to add that because Chris's mom sends somewhat expensive items to Chris, Jake would sometimes feel jealous, which is understandable, but I make sure to treat both boys equally by getting them equal stuff. My wife thinks that Chris should be sharing with his brother, and he does, but there are things that just cannot be shared. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Seems like Jake is learning a hard lesson that actions have consequences. I am unsure where your wife is coming from. It doesn't matter how expensive the shoes were. Her son destroyed someone else's property. Maybe this will teach him to not destroy others' belongings before it becomes something super serious. Like some here have pointed out, I think that Jake did have an idea how expensive the sneakers were, since he mentioned they looked like the ones his favorite singer wore in a music video. Another thing is that Chris's mom is upset over what happened and she has every right to be. $600 is a lot. And even though I personally wouldn't or couldn't spend that much in sneakers, it's her money that she worked for, so I think it's fair to be expecting a replacement. Exactly. Honestly, I don't see a case where you are the a-hole. I wasn't even thinking about Jake actually knowing or not, just pointing out your wife's point of, if he knew how expensive they were he wouldn't have destroyed them is kinda moot. Even if the shoes were $20, they still aren't his. Good luck, Opie. I think you're doing the right thing. Her statement about Chris not letting Jake borrow the shoes on purpose is also weird. Like, Chris has the right to not let his stuff out. Jake doesn't get to borrow something just because he asks. It's not just the shoes. Because Chris's mom sends expensive items to Chris, my wife thinks that Chris should be generous and share with his brother, which he does. He shared his Xbox and other things. But shoes aren't to be given for any reason no matter how nice they looked. Your wife is an a-hole, dude. She's jealous of your ex and wants to make your son share the wealth without any of them deserving it. You picked a real winner here. Your son doesn't need a reason to not let others use his stuff. It's his. It belongs to him. If she wants nice things for her kids, she needs to work for them. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not leaving my newborn twins and toddler while my sister had a meeting? I, 23 female, have a 2-year-old son and 2-month-old twins. I am a stay-at-home mom, and my sister, 25 female, who is in grad school, has been staying with us while her apartment building gets fumigated. She had a meeting with one of her professors to talk about some stuff regarding a project, and sat up her laptop in the kitchen. It's worth noting that the kitchen is right off the children's play area/bedroom, and she also has a bedroom all to herself that has a desk, and the Wi-Fi is decent in. About 5 minutes into her meeting, my 2-year-old who was playing with his toy trucks got hurt and started crying. He wasn't even having a tantrum, just crying because he got hurt. After a few minutes, my sister excuses herself from her meeting for a moment and yells at me to take the kids out of the house and that she needs total silence. I told her I wasn't going to take my 3 small children out by myself with no stroller, which was unfortunately left in the car my husband took that morning. She has been telling me all week that I ruined her meeting and that I need to get my children under control. My parents agree that I was being unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? If she isn't happy with your children behaving like children in their home, she can stay at a hotel, with your parents or with other friends. Not the a-hole. You can't set up shop in a living space and then be upset when the children who live there behaves as children. Yep, not the a-hole. It's completely unreasonable for the sister to stay over in a house with kids and expect total silence. She has a hell of a nerve trying to kick Opie out of the house for the whole day instead of moving outside, or even to her bedroom, herself. Not the a-hole. People who work from home have to find quiet spaces all the time for meetings and such. She could have taken that meeting in her room, or she could have sat outside herself. I do it all the time. I have a coworker who takes calls in her car. There are also apps that will completely cancel out background noise as well, and a few of my coworkers use that when finding a quiet space is impossible. She's a guest in your home. You are doing her a favor. She has no right to tell you how to live in your house, and if the meeting was that important, she would have made sure to set up in a reliably quiet space like the grown adult she is. I take meetings in a tiny closet or in the garage. It's the wild, wild west out here competing for quiet meeting spaces in our house. Not the a-hole, Opie. Not the a-hole. This work from home thing has been going on for 18 months. Supervisors, bosses, professors, co-workers are all used to this and are generally unfazed. Your sister is incredibly entitled to expect you to pick up your young children and leave your home for her. Your mother is way out of line and needs to be told to mind her own business. Tell your sister that if the accommodations don't meet with her approval, she can find another hotel more to her liking. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to my ex after everything that happened? Original post. I, 34 male, am struggling with whether I'm in the wrong for refusing to talk to my ex. Sarah, 29 female. There's a lot of history here, and I'll do my best to explain everything clearly. In mid-2022, I met Sarah at work, and we hit it off immediately. I fell for her quickly, and it didn't take long before we started dating. However, early in our relationship, Sarah broke up with me over something minor. To make matters worse, she made a scene in front of everyone at work. I was devastated, but didn't want to leave my job at first. Eventually, I realized I still had feelings for her, and seeing her every day became too painful. That's when I decided to quit and find a new job. We lived close to each other, so we bumped into each other frequently over the next few months. We started talking again, but even though I still had feelings for her, I couldn't bring myself to consider getting back together. What she had done hurt me deeply. After a couple of months, she told me she regretted breaking up with me over something so minor. She admitted that doing it in front of everyone was wrong and that she had been thinking about it ever since. She seemed genuinely remorseful, and I could see she meant it. Feeling that her apology was sincere, I asked if she wanted to give our relationship another try. She agreed, and by early 2023, we were officially back together. 1 year later, things were going great. We talked about marriage and building a future together, which made me feel ready to take the next step. I decided to surprise her with a proposal and started working extra hours to save for a house so we could marry not long after. I didn't tell her why I was working so much because I wanted it to be a complete surprise. Then out of nowhere, she asked for a break. I was blindsided, and when I asked why, she refused to explain. Around the same time, I noticed she had been talking non-stop about a new guy at her workplace. But suddenly, she stopped mentioning him altogether, which made me suspicious. Confused and hurt, I reached out to one of my close friends, Emily, who, along with her boyfriend, still worked at the same place as Sarah. I vented to Emily about what was going on and asked if she knew anything. She said she didn't because she worked in a different department, but she promised to ask around. A few days later, Emily got back to me. She told me that Sarah had been feeling like I was distant lately, especially with me working extra hours and not going out much. Emily said some of Sarah's colleagues had been encouraging her to take a break, claiming I wasn't treating her well and wasn't as invested in the relationship. On top of that, they were trying to match her up with a new guy at work, saying they'd make a better pair. I told Emily about my plans to propose and buy a house for Sarah and me. That was the reason I'd been working so much. I wanted to surprise her with something big. After about 2 weeks, Sarah called me and asked to meet up. I agreed but told her up front that I needed an explanation for why she wanted a break before we could discuss anything else. She brought up how distant I had seemed, saying it made her feel like I wasn't as invested in the relationship anymore. I told her that if she had just talked to me about it, she would have known there was a reason for my behavior. But now, it didn't matter anymore. Then she mentioned the new guy at her workplace. I said his name before she could, and she looked surprised, asking how I knew. I told her I wasn't an idiot. I'd noticed how she suddenly stopped talking about him after bringing him up all the time. She swore that she had never cheated on me. I replied that looking for someone better at the first sign of trouble could be considered cheating by some. At that point, I told her I didn't want to hear whatever else she had to say. Whether or not she wanted to get back together didn't matter. I was breaking up with her regardless. The breakup deeply hurt me. I couldn't bear staying in the same place, so I asked my company for a transfer and used the money I'd saved for the proposal to start over in a new city. While talking to Emily, the friend I had vented to before, she apologized to me. She admitted that she had slipped up and told Sarah about my plans to propose and buy a house. Emily said Sarah broke down crying after hearing that. I appreciated Emily's honesty, but it didn't change what had happened. By mid-December last year, I returned to my hometown to spend Christmas and New Year's with my family. Some friends wanted to organize a party to get everyone together, since many of us, myself included, had moved away and were only visiting for the holidays. We barely interacted that night, just a quick hi in passing. At one point, I glanced at her and saw her smiling while chatting with a group of women. That smile brought back so many memories. I realized that seeing her smile still made me feel the same way I did the first time I saw it. I thought to myself, how screwed up am I that I still feel this way? Despite those lingering feelings, I was still sad and deeply hurt by how things had ended. Looking back, I also started to blame myself. I should have paid more attention to how she was feeling. I could have told her about the extra work and why I was doing it. Maybe things would have turned out differently. Later that evening, one of my friends mentioned that Sarah's relationship with the guy from her work had only lasted a couple of months. After the holidays, I planned to return to the city where I now lived. My vacation ended on January 6th, so I decided to leave on Friday. That way, I'd have Saturday to sort everything out at home and prepare for the week ahead, with Sunday to relax before going back to work. Before I left, one of my friends from back home called me. He said he had a favor to ask on behalf of someone else and warned me that I wouldn't like it. I could already feel my stomach sinking. Then he told me it was Sarah. She was moving to the same city where I live to work at her relative's company, and she needed a ride. He asked if I could take her. I didn't even think about it before I said no. The idea of being stuck in a car with her for hours was too much to bear. It would have been painfully awkward, just like the party, and I wasn't ready to put myself through that. He told me that Sarah and I needed to talk, but I wasn't having any of it. I went back home, and last week, I went for a run and stopped to rest a little in a park when I heard a familiar voice say, "Hi." It was Sarah. She tried to start a conversation by asking how I was and mentioning that we didn't get a chance to talk at the party, but I cut her off, saying I didn't want to talk to her. She told me not to be like that we needed to have a conversation, but I said no. She asked how I could still resent her after almost a year and after everything we'd been through, but I told her it wasn't resentment. I was very honest. I told her that thinking about her, talking about her, or even seeing her still hurts a lot, and that's why I couldn't talk to her. She said that was exactly why we needed to talk. I didn't see the point, so I just walked away. Since then, Sarah has tried to approach me twice more, and I've shut her down both times. Some of my friends think I'm being too harsh and that I should talk to her for closure. Others say it's not okay to torture her over what happened forever. But that's not what this is about. I don't have any resentment or negative feelings toward her anymore. I even recognize now that I share some of the blame. But it still hurts. I can't talk to her because it's like reopening an old wound that never fully healed. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to talk to her? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. She wants closure because she needs it. Don't do it. Leave her behind. Remember, first sign of trouble and she ran off to cheat with some creep. She deserves nothing but contempt and silence. She doesn't want closure. She wants another chance to get back in with him. I don't know if that's the case really. 50-50. Don't relent. Stand your ground, brother. She screwed you over twice already. Don't give her a third opportunity. Not the a-hole, but if you go back to her, you will be a dumbass. There's not a chance of me going back to her. Good man. Good luck with everything. You sound pretty well put together. You'll find her. She's out there looking for you. Now for the first update. Hey everyone. I wanted to give an update and thank you all for your input. I took the time to read through every comment, and while I didn't respond to all of them, it was only because I didn't have anything to add. I'm truly grateful for everyone who shared their thoughts. It has been incredibly helpful. After reading everything and thinking it through, I've decided to stick to my decision not to talk to Sarah. Something I forgot to mention in my original post, though I did tell a few commenters, is that I blocked her everywhere after we broke up the second time. Over the last few days, it seems like her persistence has started to backfire. Some of our mutual friends, including the ones who initially told me I should talk to her, have become frustrated with her constant attempts to contact me. Apparently, they've started turning on her because of it. 3 days ago, Emily, the friend I vented to back then, made a post on social media about stalkers. She didn't name Sarah, but a lot of people picked up on what she meant. I've also seen several comments on my original post suggesting that Sarah might have been stalking me. Her job in the same city and her coincidental appearance at the park all line up with that theory. For what it's worth, I know her uncle owns a company here, so maybe that is really why she moved. But honestly, it's not my problem, and I'm not going to look into it. Things have been quieter, friends have dropped the subject, and Sarah hasn't tried to reach out again. That is until yesterday. I watched the UFC event with some co-workers. When it ended, I was heading to my car when my phone rang. It was one of our mutual friends calling. She said she had been talking to Sarah and asked if she could pass along a message. I sighed but told her to make it quick. The message was simple. Sarah said she understands why I don't want to talk to her. She promised she wouldn't try to reach out again, but added that she still thinks we need to talk. She said the door is open if I ever want to. I told my friend I didn't have a message to pass back and asked her not to bring up Sarah again in our conversations. If what Sarah said is true, it's a relief, but I'm not holding my breath. I wouldn't be surprised if she tries something else. Maybe she thinks giving me space will make me go to her, but it won't. That chapter of my life is closed. Right now, I just want to focus on myself. I probably won't be dating anyone anytime soon. If there is one thing I've learned, it's that I need to get to know people better before jumping into a relationship. I've also been thinking about how loosely I use the word friend. That is another part of my life I need to rethink. Some of the people I have called friends have proven they don't have my best interests at heart. A few people suggested therapy in the comments, and I'll admit it is something I've been considering. For now, I'm giving myself time to heal on my own, but if I still don't feel right after a while, I will look into it. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to comment. Your advice has been a huge help in sorting all this out. This is exactly why monkey branching is a terrible dating practice. It's cheating with extra steps. That's why she keeps pushing. She knows what she did, just like she knows what she lost. Yet, ironically, she's too naive to understand that even if y'all got back together, you don't look at her the same. That's totally understandable. You're right, it would not be the same. Especially since they actually dated after you two broke up. To think that she went along with it right after finding out about the plans to propose just seems really selfish and inconsiderate of the full situation. Glad to hear you are prioritizing yourself, OP. It sounds like you're doing well and moving on. Keep focusing on yourself and enjoying what you have. If you feel you need counseling, do it when you are ready. Good luck. I think now people around me understand my situation and what I truly need. That will help a lot. Now for the final update. There's been no sign of Sarah these past few weeks, and no one's brought her up in conversation either. That's a good thing. Then last Tuesday, February 11th, I got a DM from Sarah's mother. She said she wanted to apologize for her daughter's behavior and asked me to call her. I've always had a great relationship with Sarah's parents. They're genuinely good people. Even during both breakups, they were always respectful and never overstepped. I didn't really want to talk about Sarah anymore, but I also didn't want to ignore her mother. After thinking it over for a few minutes, I decided I'd call her. However, if she tried to convince me to speak with Sarah or anything along those lines, I'd politely end the conversation. When she answered, she put me on speaker so Sarah's father could join in. I half expected to hear Sarah's voice too, but fortunately that didn't happen. The conversation itself was actually really good. They started by apologizing for Sarah's recent behavior. I immediately told them they had nothing to apologize for, but they insisted, saying they felt it was the right thing to do. They also told me they had no idea what had been going on until recently. Once they found out, they called Sarah and had a long talk with her. Her father admitted that it was the kind of conversation he'd expect to have with a teenager, not an almost 30-year-old woman. Sarah promised them she'd stay away from me and seek therapy. I felt relieved, not just for myself, but for her too. Everything that happened between us wasn't great, but I genuinely wish her the best. I hope she finds happiness. Before we ended the call, I thanked her parents and reiterated how much I respected and admired them. Now I can finally say with certainty that this is over. Sarah would never betray her parents' trust. Thank you all for the advice. It really meant a lot. I think it's time to finally move on from all of this. Yeah, I've been feeling better lately. So glad to read that. But even if things are starting to look more peaceful for you, please consider therapy. Sarah hurt you deeply, and not just once. She betrayed your trust and broke your heart in a way that even 1 year later still hurts. Therapy is just so that you can find closure and allow your healing process to come to an end if you're ready. Keep in mind that Sarah left you with a lot of emotional baggage that could potentially strain an otherwise healthy future relationship. You deserve happiness, and a therapist might guide you to the point where you can fully close the chapter on Sarah emotionally. I wish you all the best. Thanks. I haven't made a decision about therapy yet. Her parents felt the need to call because she was seriously stalking you. I am relieved this is over for your sake, but I would definitely tread carefully. They probably felt the need to intervene before the law got involved. If it kept happening, I'd have no choice. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend I wouldn't make her coffee anymore unless she stops micromanaging me? So for context, I, 24 male, and my girlfriend, 23 female, have been together for about 2 years, living together for roughly 6 months. Normally, we have a good routine. I wake up first, make coffee, and she wakes up to a nice hot cup. Recently, though, she started getting really particular about how she wants it done. She insists on using this super specific method, measuring the grounds to the exact gram, pre-warming the mug in the microwave for 30 seconds, adding the milk at a certain temperature, and on and on. At first I tried to oblige because, hey, if she loves coffee that much, I want to make it nice for her. But it got to a point where every time I handed her a cup, she'd grill me. Did you weigh the grounds first? Did you warm the mug? Is this whole milk or 2%? If anything was off, even by a tiny bit, she'd sigh and say it wasn't as good as the right way. One morning, she literally took the mug from me, dumped it down the sink, and started the process herself, while ranting that I never do it the right way. I got frustrated and told her, if you're going to be this picky, just make your own coffee. I'm done making something, only to be told how it's wrong every time. She got upset and said I was overreacting, that she just wants her coffee a certain way, and that I should respect her preferences. I argued that I was respecting her preference. I just didn't appreciate the constant criticism or micromanaging. She accused me of being lazy and unaccommodating. Now, I'm feeling guilty because I do want her to enjoy her morning coffee, but I'm also tired of feeling like I'm a barista under constant scrutiny. Am I the a-hole for telling her she can just handle it herself until she stops micromanaging me? Or should I just suck it up and follow her super detailed instructions? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If I ask my boyfriend to do something for me, I accept that it is a favor and I can't be picky. Like, babe, will you please help me clean out my car? It'd be really nice and a huge help. But when he does, I don't go white glove it and complain that he didn't wipe out the cup holders. He was being kind and helpful, but he's not my servant. You can't expect others to do nice things for you if you're nasty about your expectations for how they're done. It's that simple. She sounds like a piece of work. My house rule, if you don't like the way I do things, then you get to do it yourself the way you want it. Otherwise, don't complain. Not the a-hole. I like my tea in very specific ways. If someone drops a Lipton's bag in a cup and pours microwaved water over it, I say thank you and drink my terrible tea. Then I go make fancy stuff for myself. That's the only acceptable way to deal with someone making you a morning drink. You thank them, drink it, and then make a cup your preferred way. Agreed. I'm also picky on tea. That being said, I will drink the damn tea offered. I can be picky with my own damn teapot that I make myself. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my ex back, but accepting my fiancé's kids? Original post. My ex-husband, let's call him Frank, and I got married deeply in love. After a while, I found out I couldn't have children. Frank wanted kids, and he told me he didn't want to leave me but also wanted to have a child with someone else. I couldn't accept that. Later, I found out he had gotten a woman from his workplace pregnant. He told me he didn't want to divorce me and still wanted to be with me, but I couldn't stay. Despite his resistance, I divorced him, and he married the mother of his child. This was 2 years ago. Now I'm with someone new. Let's call him Mark. Mark is kind, understanding, and has been a great support system for me after everything with Frank. I love him deeply. He has 2 sons from his previous marriage, ages 3 and 5. They stay with him every other weekend and see him regularly during the week. He's a great dad, and I admire that about him. Mark and I recently decided to get married, and I'm really happy about it. But ever since Frank found out, he has been trying to contact me. Today, he showed up outside my work. He accused me of being a hypocrite, accepting Mark's kids but refusing to accept his. He said that all he ever wanted was to build a life with me and grow old together, and that I was being unfair for not accepting him under the same circumstances. Logically, I see why he thinks it's the same situation, but it doesn't feel the same. The thought of Frank and his child still hurts me, yet I don't feel the same way about Mark and his kids. Frank insists it's the same, but is it? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Logically, I see why he thinks it's the same situation. I mean, no, it's not remotely the same situation. The first situation wasn't about not accepting his child, it was about infidelity and betrayal. In her current relationship, it seems like he is loyal and has not stepped outside their relationship. In fact, the ex continues to show he is disloyal by trying to get together with someone when he is already married. Dude needs counseling. Exactly. Infidelity and betrayal aren't the same as a pre-existing child. Frank's just trying to twist the narrative. An affair baby is not even remotely the same as marrying a parent. Trust me, being cheated on and accepting stepkids are two completely different planets. Your ex's logic is laughably flawed. Now for the edit and update. Wow, I didn't expect to receive this much support. Thank you all so much. I wanted to address a few things that came up in the comments. Surgery was not an option for me. We consulted multiple doctors, and in the end, we had to accept that I wouldn't be able to have children. That time was especially difficult for me, and Frank was my biggest source of support. Adoption was also off the table because Frank didn't want it. He wanted biological children. He told me, "I don't want to raise someone else's child." I was the one who first suggested divorce back then, but he swore he would never leave me. He even said, "It will always be just the two of us until the end." And I believed him. Frank and I met in high school and were together for 10 years. I think that's why he knows exactly how to get to me. After our conversation today, I started doubting myself. I even felt like I was the one at fault. Thank you all for helping me see things from my perspective again. I feel much more certain now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend I told you so, and then dumping her over her male best friend? I'm 26 years old and male. My now ex-girlfriend is 25. We dated for a year. I'll call her Cindy. When Cindy and I started dating, she told me early on that she had a male best friend, Greg. For the record, I need to say here that I fully believe that a man and a woman can have a completely platonic and mutually rewarding friendship without either ever acting inappropriately. About 6 months after we started dating, Cindy finally introduced me to Greg. We went to a restaurant to get some drinks and food. I really liked Cindy, and so I was naturally excited to meet her best friend. When we showed up at the restaurant, immediately after shaking my hand, Greg compared his height to mine. I'm 5'9", and he is something like 6'2". He did that thing that elementary school students do, where they put their palm on the top of their head and move it out in a straight line. He was demonstrating that he was much taller than me. I chuckled, thinking it was just in line with his personality, and Cindy got a laugh out of it too. Over dinner, Greg contradicted me on virtually everything I said. He was relentless. I'd talk about something for about 30 seconds, and he'd move his head to the side and say, "Well," then go into details about how I was wrong. Cindy seemed to be having a good time though, so I sucked it up. But what bothered me more than anything was the way he looked at Cindy. She must be the most obtuse person in the world to not notice. When she bent over to pick up her bag after dinner, he checked out her butt too. On the Uber ride home, Cindy and I got into an argument about Greg. I said that I was really uncomfortable with her being friends with him. I then elaborated on everything, how he kept trying to one-up me, that he checked out her butt, how he looked at her. She said that I was being dramatic. The argument turned kind of nasty, and about a block away from our apartment, Cindy decided to get out. In the unlikely event that our Uber driver is reading this, sorry man, I didn't want to make things awkward for you. Cindy and I fought. We made up, and I thought I had convinced her that Greg was bad news. She agreed to distance herself from him. Well, last night I learned that she hadn't. Cindy called me at 11 p.m. or so, clearly distraught, saying she needed a ride home. I asked what had happened, and she said, "Don't be mad, but Greg tried to kiss me." I was admittedly kind of ticked off, but the too long didn't read was: 1. Greg invited her over to his place for drinks. 2. Greg got her to drink a lot. 3. Greg went in for a kiss. 4. Cindy dodged him and left. 5. Greg first followed her until she screamed at him, drawing the attention of his neighbors. Cindy was super drunk, and so after picking her up, I decided to talk about it with her in the morning. I organized my talking points in advance, but simply, after she woke up, I told her that she betrayed my trust by meeting Greg. I told her that he was a creep, and that our relationship was over. Cindy is now calling me a victim blamer. She's really upset about how I broke up with her when she was sick, see hungover. Am I really the a-hole for ending a relationship like this? Let's be honest, you didn't break up with her because she almost got assaulted. You broke up with her because she told you that she'll keep her distance from Greg. But not only she kept in contact with him, but decided to hang out alone and drink with him. So that's lying. manipulation, and idiotic added to the list of red flags. Not the a-hole. Watch her tell all her friends and family that OP dumped her because she almost got assaulted. Presumably, OP knows her friends and family and should head this off at the pass by telling them his version of the story. She's a liar who displays epically terrible judgment, and he can no longer trust her. Not the a-hole. She's trying to gaslight you into believing that you're victim blaming her. Yes, Greg is a predator, but that is not why you broke up with her. You read the red flags and gave her warnings that her friend is not who she thinks he is. Cut to her being alone with him in his apartment after saying she would distance herself from him. It's not okay that he was trying to take advantage of her, but that doesn't absolve her of breaking your trust. Two things can be true at the same time. You can feel bad for what happened, but also uphold your boundaries and protect your peace. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my grandparents my late husband's life insurance payout? My husband passed away suddenly last year, leaving me, 35 female, and our 2 kids, 6 male and 4 female, completely heartbroken. He had a life insurance policy that paid out a significant sum, and while it doesn't make up for our loss, it has given us financial security. A few months ago, my in-laws approached me with a request. They want me to give a portion of the money to my late husband's grandparents, his mom's parents. Their reasoning is that they are struggling financially, and my husband would have wanted to help them. I do feel bad for them, but the thing is that they never really had a strong relationship with us. They didn't even come to our wedding, claiming it was too far, even though they travel for vacations all the time. They never made much effort to be in our children's lives either. And now they suddenly think they're entitled to the money my husband left for his family, which, in my mind, means our kids and me. My mother-in-law has been calling me selfish, saying they're elderly and struggling, and that I should honor my husband's memory by helping them. But I feel like this money was meant for our children's future. It's not like I'm hoarding it. I've set up college funds and I'm ensuring we're stable. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your husband's parents are free to help out if they want. You have just gone through a horrible tragedy and are dealing with a lot of uncertainty. You don't know what the future will bring, and you need to provide for your kids first. Right, I don't know all the facts about his grandparents and their financial situation, given that they don't really keep in touch that much. But I imagine that if anything, I would need the support more now that I'm all alone with 2 young kids to raise. Your money that you got from your husband's forethought and empathetic planning. If he had wanted to help his grandparents, he would have bought a policy for them, or would have put them on as a partial beneficiary. Sorry for your loss, and be careful with that money. It has to support you and the kids for a long time. They're old. They'll get over it soon. Not the a-hole. Jesus, I shouldn't be laughing, but I can't stop. Thank you. First of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope you and your children find peace, healing, and love as time goes on. If your husband was smart enough to prepare for such a horrific loss, you know he was doing it with you and the kids in mind. He didn't take out life insurance and go. I feel so at peace knowing Grandma and Grandpa could go on another booze cruise. Use the money for your children and yourself, with no guilt. Next story. Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my husband's co-worker, for embarrassing me and my husband? A few months ago, after many years of trying to conceive, my husband, 32 male, and I, 33 female, had a gorgeous, healthy baby boy. My husband and I are Black, which is pertinent to this story. We were over the moon, and family, friends, and co-workers had also been excited for us. Right after I delivered, my husband emailed a birth announcement with a photo of our son to everyone in his office. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and my husband came home fuming after his first day back at work. One of his co-workers informed him that another guy in the office, a new young employee my husband barely knew, had been telling everyone willing to listen that my husband couldn't be our son's father because that baby's too light to be his, and its hair is too long and straight. That's a white man's baby, or an Asian's. This guy proceeded to tell everyone what a sucker my husband was, and that his excitement over finally becoming a dad was blinding him to the reality that he had been cheated on and his wife impregnated by another man. Side note for anyone who's still unaware in 2025, Black babies in general are fairly pale as newborns, and their skin will darken over the first few weeks. Hair changes to a curlier pattern are usually gradual as well. Our son was no exception and is now my husband's mini-me. My husband said he had immediately confronted and questioned the guy, who completely denied saying anything inappropriate and claimed he only said, as a joke, that the baby was too cute to be my husband's. But others in the office confirmed the first co-worker's account. Not only that, the guy had tried to parlay his superior perception skills into some weird form of workplace clout. Fortunately, the guy got moved to a different shift that same week, so my husband didn't have to see him again. That is, until a company event this past weekend. Families were invited, and we took our son. And who should come and insert himself into our group as we were chatting with the boss, but Brown-Noser McMouth. He interrupted our conversation and introduced himself to the boss, shaking his hand. When I realized who he was, my anger came flooding back, and I said, "I don't believe we've met, but aren't you the guy who went around telling everyone in the office I must have cheated on my husband with a white or Asian man, and this couldn't be his son?" The guy went red and silent. The boss said to him, "See me in my office first thing Monday," and walked away. I think someone's fired. My husband said I went too far because it was already over and done with. I said it wasn't done for me until I'd had my say, and I was the one being defamed, not him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You were slandered in a way that could have negatively impacted your marriage. And you had no real recourse aside from a lawsuit to publicly defend yourself against the public accusation made against you. An opportunity presented itself in this man's continued pompousness. You took it. You made it clear, with your baby now looking just like your husband, that one, he was obviously wrong, and two, that you were hurt by the accusation. Behavior has consequences. The racist part of his slander is also really offensive. The very kindest interpretation is that he's ignorant and happy to broadcast his ignorance to everyone around him. But I expect the kindest interpretation is being way too generous with this guy. I hope he gets his butt handed to him by the boss. You prevented further harassment of other people at the office. Unlikely the dude only targeted you and your hubby. Well done. By standing up for herself, OP has shown others that they can stand up for themselves as well. Agree. OP's courage breaks the cycle of silence, showing others that they don't have to tolerate such behavior. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not splitting the bill when my friend got lobster? So last weekend, me, 21 male, and my friends Jake, 22 male, Sarah, 21 female, and Lisa, 21 female, hit this seafood joint we'd been hyping up. Not crazy fancy, low-key affordable for us working students. I figure we're all keeping it chill. I got crab cakes for $20. Sarah and Lisa got normal stuff too, like $15 to $18 plates. Then Jake goes, "Oh hell yeah, lobster tail $85, and orders it. I asked him if that's what he really wanted because that's expensive as heck, and I didn't think we could cover for him if ever. He said yes, don't worry. I didn't say anything, thinking he's got it covered. Dinner's cool, he's flexing his lobster or whatever. Bill comes, $185. I'm like, okay, my shares may be $25 with tip, but Jake's all, so $46 each? And I'm like, what? His lobster was $85. I say, nah man, I'm not paying for that. I'll do $25. Sarah and Lisa back me up. They weren't splitting either. Jake gets pissy, says, we always split. You're being cheap, it's just dinner. Dude, it's triple my food. I stick to my guns. We all pay separate, but he's acting like I ruined everything. Says I embarrassed him. Texted me later all salty about it. I kinda get it. Splitting's simpler and I could have just eaten the cost. But $85 versus $20 feels wild to me. Did he really just expect us all to split with him after he saw us order cheaper food? He even knew we couldn't cover that much for him. Now he's barely talking to us, and I'm sitting here like, were we the a-holes? Should we have just paid it to keep the vibe good? Jake's the a-hole for ordering an $85 meal and expecting others to help pay for it. Exactly. Dude's out here eating like a king and I'm supposed to bankroll it? Nah. Not the a-hole.
He said don't worry, he knew what he was doing. I'd imagine this isn't his first time mooching. Exactly. Actually, this is his first time with us because we barely eat out together. But now I gotta ask around if he's been doing stuff like this with other people. Wait a minute, then why is Jake saying you always split? He meant it like he splits with friends in general. I split with Lisa and Sarah too when it was just us three, so I think he thought that we would always split no matter what. And Lisa told me she split with Jake before. Not the a-hole. Ditch Jake. He's sulking because his attempt to guilt trip into paying for him didn't work. You're goddamn right, I'm ditching him. I currently got a leech myself, always asking me to borrow money, yet has never returned any I lent them. Catch on quickly and ditch people like this as friends. He chose that lobster with the sole intention of having other people help him pay for it.